My name is Ivy Biddle, and I reside at 930 Pacific Street in Brooklyn, New York. I actually bought my home in 2007, and let me just say, it has been a beautiful place. It's my first home, and I was really, really excited about it. I've been in real estate for quite some time. My mom is a broker, but this is my first home, believe it or not. So I've had a couple of challenges here and there, but I was happy to get here. I love the fact of ownership. I think that everybody should be able to have that experience. I think it's the best thing. When we hand somebody keys, let me tell you, it is so gratifying. But the things that are going on now in the court system have really left a lot to be desired. It is a situation where there's not that much accountability. All the facts are not appreciated. They're not looking at the entire record, right? And I'm just talking about the judges, basically, right?
When did the tide change for you?
Okay, so basically, a motion for summary judgment was put in, right? Summons and complaint was put in.
So let's back up
Bank
before
of
that.
America.
How did you get to the point where it is that you came through this process? So before you get to that point, at what stage did it basically change? What happened that took you into the legal system for your property?
Well, basically, a lot of people are losing jobs and different things of that nature. So I had gone to NACA to actually I wanted to actually lower my payments. So I went to them, not knowing there was really a loan mod, but that's what I had gone for. And believe it or not, I was told, if you default on at least 3 payments, we can work with you. And I'm sitting there saying, what? Didn't quite know exactly what that meant, but I knew what I wanted to achieve, right? So while I was in the process with NACA, summons and complaint was put in around the same exact time, right? So I'm sitting there saying, what is this? But I didn't even know. People, calling and knocking on doors and saying they wanted to buy my home and different things of that nature. So I was like, wait a minute, this is very, very strange. So I went down to the courthouse and I went down to the help center. Help center says, fill out this you got to send in an answer today because you get X amount of time to do that. I didn't know that either, obviously, because I hadn't been served. So I filled out the paperwork now, not knowing that if you just fill out a general denial, it's not even acceptable. But that's what they told me. I asked them, what does this mean, a lack of standing? They said, you don't have to fill that out. Just fill out general denial. This is something I want to teach as well, because there's a lot to be learned here. Knowledge is power. And I found out later, I've gone to about 17 different attorneys. They didn't want to take my case because they said I didn't have lack of standing in my answer. But I didn't have knowledge about lack of standing. I couldn't see myself claiming something that I had no knowledge of, right? So I didn't fill it out. Didn't fill that piece out. And they wouldn't, because they felt that they would not be able to win the case because they didn't have lack of standing in there. But it turned out that they didn't have lack of standing in the end, right? So it started with Bank of America, and then Nation Star came and did a motion for summary judgment. So they come out of nowhere as a servicer, and they did that. They put in all types of paperwork that was inadmissible. They hadn't set it up properly for it to be admitted into the courts. But long story short, I'm going to tell you a few things that actually happened. The motion for summary judgment ended up being granted by that judge, right? And I can tell you some more about that later.
Who was your
Then I
judge?
appealed it. That was Judge Deborah Silver.
Silver,
Yes. So she was the first who actually granted that.
Deborah Silver.
Deborah Silver. Yes.
Silber.
Silber.
BER.
Yes, exactly. And I was so hurt because I was like, the evidence was there. I did research. I enjoy research. I did a lot of research and found that these things were not correct. So really, it was inaccurate, for her to do that. So I appealed it, bottom line. Went to appellate court, and I won it on a modified order, okay? They actually saw that I wasn't served. They saw that the paperwork was not there to support the fact that pursuant to 1304, the prerequisite notices that are supposed to be given to a homeowner 90 days before foreclosure action takes place was not there, was not complete. So instead of them dismissing the case based on case law, based on statutes, they sent me back down to the lower court.
Wasn't that their case law that is supposed to be dismissed?
That was their case law that was supposed to be dismissed, but they didn't do it, right? right? So, and here I am representing myself. I did have a couple of attorneys, and I had to get rid of them because they weren't doing what they needed to do properly. So, so I continued pro se, went back down. Then the same Nation Star, which the appellate court called a non-party. They were a non-party on top of that, but they were the ones putting in these motions for summary judgments, right? So then they ended up putting in a second motion for summary judgment. So that, in that time, they added over 11 different documents that weren't there before that should have been present at commencement of the action. Here we are. There was a note, right? The first note just had my signature. The second note was endorsed in blank, and it looked like it was not my signature, okay? So there's a lot of paperwork that had discrepancies. There were inaccuracies of dates. I mean, there's so much going on. They even, at one point, they even brought in another company that they said who had actually served the paperwork. That didn't even exist in the first motion for summary judgment. So these are the things that we have to look out for. I just really want to like educate people, but there was a lot of that going on. And long story short, so it went back down to the lower court, and then what happened was Judge Lawrence Nipel, didn't actually stall the case by saying plaintiff didn't win and the defendant didn't win. So that happened. Then I appealed that, and then what happened was, I'm trying to remember because there's so many different series of events. But the
Weren't
whole
they
time
denied?
They were denied, and I was denied. Right. So we were at a stalemate. So then they came back and said.
How many years later? How much time passed before they came back?
Maybe like a couple, 2 or 3 years. About 2 years, about 2 or 3 years. But this whole litigation process. So I'm in a home for 19 years, and yet I've been litigating for 12.
Oh wow.
It's a lot. That's
Okay.
a lot.
Yeah.
So I've been stressed out, had a lot of anxiety,
How
the whole
has
9
this
yards.
affected your household?
Well, I wasn't even able to spend time with Mom and Dad, and they both were very, very ill because I was spending time trying to research and to be able to fight the case because didn't really have a choice, didn't have attorneys
you're
that
still
wanted
in
to
the
work. I'm still in the home, I'm still fighting. Right now I'm in the appellate again because now they want to do a note of issue so that they want, because they claim they want to take it to trial. And
Wasn't that after 8 years they filed for a note of issue?
yes, and that was 8 years later that they filed the note
Which
of
is
issue.
actually, it's too long a time period for them to
Absolutely.
even bring it back.
Exactly. But the judge let it go. And they won that. They won that, which is why I appealed it, and that's why I'm in the appellate court right
Who
now.
was the judge? Wasn't it Judge Nipel
It was Judge Lawrence Nipel.
that granted them the NOI?
Yes. But I've gone through Judge Nipel, I've gone through Noah Deere, I've gone through Deborah Silver. So I've had a few different judges.
How many banks would you say it changed hand over the chain of custody? How many chains of custody? were
Okay.
there?
Well, it actually was just Bank of America. Nation Star was a servicer. Now, just recently, Rocket Mortgage became a servicer. Just recently now.
Just recently.
All these years later.
At any point did it actually go back to? Did it ever go back to?
Bank of America? Bank of America or Nation Star? No.
Fannie Mae or any of the government agencies?
No.
Okay.
So the bank is now, the house is now owned by Bank of America. That's what's on the paperwork.
No, they're saying that the servicer / I guess holder in due course is now Rocket Mortgage. But guess what? I never got a letter to that effect. All I got was a the statement saying that the payment should be now sent to Rocket Mortgage. So there was no paperwork at all given to me saying that it was going to be changed from Nation Star to Rocket Mortgage. There's been so much going on.
So how did that happen? How did you basically come by where it is that Rocket Mortgage is in play, and have you made any payments?
No payments. I have not acknowledged them because I don't know who they are, and they've never given me any paperwork proving that they were. I don't have a relationship with them. I didn't even have a relationship with Nation Star. So I didn't even know where that even came from. But these are the things that have been showing up. And there's a lot of, if I could just show you all the paperwork where it's all described. They've even changed the United States Postal Service certificate of mailing. The stamp, the actual stamp from the United States Postal Service has been altered.
What has been the most standout situation in all of what this looks like for you?
Oh boy. There's no accountability. There's no for the judges, because they're the ones that are rubber stamping these things and allowing these papers to go through, and allowing people to lose their ownership and lose their homes. and it angers me, and it just really, if I could just, I want to do something to help myself as well as others, because it's unfair. It's unfair. I don't know how these people sleep at night. I really
Absolutely.
don't.
Well, thank you for your contribution and what
Thank
this
you so
is.
much.
Thank you.